Oh, everybody needs to go to the history of the American experiment. Do we have that in the chat? And everybody can just read along with us.
I'm trying to get it to go on the
I
track.
think Mindy put it up there.
Okay, cool.
So everybody go there and pull that up if you guys want to read along. But this is resolved on April 6th of 1776, folks. Now,
yeah, read that last one again. Read that last one again, but the whole sentence.
It says, resolved, number 4, resolved, that no slaves be imported into any of the 13 colonies.
May I, Eugene?
Go ahead.
That's on page 23 of the document for those who's pulling it up from the chat. Page 23.
There you go, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm on my phone right now, so I can't see it. Is that where it ends, Eugene? Just
no. That's just on the. That's just one of the. That's resolved on that day in the Continental Congress. So on April 6th of 1776, it is resolved. Okay, and it is straight up right there. Okay. April 10th of 1776. Number 1. That although the prosperity of Dartmouth College and the colony of New Hampshire is a desirable object, it is neither seasonable nor prudent to contribute toward its relief or support out of the public treasury. Dartmouth trying to get some public funds, huh? Like an Ivy League school trying to get public funds. There we go. May 10th, 1776. Number 1, resolved. It'll be that it be recommended to the respective assemblies and conventions of the United Colonies, where no government sufficient to the exigencies, okay, of their affairs have been hereinto established to adopt such government as shall, in the opinion of the representatives of the people, best conduce to the happiness and the safety of the constituents in particular and America in general. Sean, you're killing me. Alrighty. Where was? Okay, June 5th, 1776. Number 1, resolved that no person shall be appointed to any place of profit unless that person to be appointed shall have a majority of the voices of the colonies represented at the time of election. Now, what does that mean? Let's try that again. Number 1, resolved that no person shall be appointed to any place of profit unless the person to be appointed shall have a majority of the voices of the colonies represented at the time of election. Does that smell like conflict of interest? Hey, Nino.
No, that smells like the colonies, the people, the union has the authority for everything. That's what that sounds like.
Yes, but it says colonies represented at the time of said election. All right, one more time. One more time. Resolved that no person shall be appointed to any place of profit unless the person to be appointed shall have a majority of the voices of the colonies represented at the time of election. So, going backwards, being elected, representing, appointed, prophet. That's all I get. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I think that's in regards to getting represented by it. So once the colonies come together and they decide that they want a representative and they want to pay this representative a salary, it needs to be elected by the people.
All right, hang on a second, people.
Yeah. Did you never even made that site to ever try logging in, right? Citizen did. So I logged in through UAT though, so I can go from there. My account no longer works to log into WordPress admin, and when I do a lost password, it tells me my account doesn't exist.
Hey. Okay. All right. All right, good. Okay. All right, good. All right. Yeah. Okay. No problem. All right.
Everything all right?
Hey, sorry. Hey, Nino, real quick. We have a situation with somebody in the jail, and we really need to deal with this, like, when we get done with this, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. I'm sorry, people. We'll go back to where we are. Okay. June 7th of 1776. Number one, certain resolutions respecting independency being moved and second. Resolved that these United Colonies are of the right and ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved, good Lord, from all allegiances to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. That is, expedient forthwith to take the most effectual measure for forming formal foreign alliances, that a plan of confederation be prepared and transmitted to the respective colonies for their consideration and approbation. This is a resolution from Richard Henry Lee of Virginia. On June 10th, in 1776, number one, resolved that the consideration of the first resolution be postponed to this day, 3 weeks, July 1, and in the meanwhile, that no time be lost in case the Congress agreed thereto, that the committee be appointed to prepare a declaration to effect to the said first resolution, which is these words, that these United Colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiances to the British Crown, and they are all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain ought to be totally dissolved. June 12th, 1776, resolved that the committee prepare and digest a form of confederation to be entered into these colonies to consist of a member of each colony. Number 2, resolved that a committee be to prepare a plan of treaties be proposed to foreign powers, consist of 5 members. Number 3, scribes note, more de jure offices are created. A secretary and 1 or more clerks be appointed by Congress for a new committee entitled the Board of War and Ordnance. An oath is created as well. I'm pretty sure Board of War and Ordnance, well, Ordnance is blowing stuff up. So, War and Ordnance is war and blowing stuff up. Okay. I, A.B., do solemnly swear that I will not directly or indirectly divulge any matter or thing which shall come to my knowledge as Secretary on Board of War or Ordnance for the United Colonies, or Clerk of the Board of War or Ordnance established by Congress without the leave of said Board of War or Ordnance, and that I will faithfully execute said office according to the best of my skill judgment, so help me God. June 24, 1776. Number 1, Congress took into consideration the report of the Committee on Spies, there whereupon resolved that all persons abiding within any of the United Colonies and deriving protection from the laws of the same, owing allegiance to the said laws, and are members of such colony, and that all persons passing through, visiting, or making temporary stay in any of the said colonies being entitled to the protection of the laws during the time of such passage, visitation, or temporary stay, during the same time allegiance thereto, that all persons members of or owing allegiance to the United Colonies, as before described, who shall levy war against any of the said colonies within the same be abhorrent to the King of Great Britain and other of the enemies of the said colonies, or any of them within the same, giving him or them aid and comfort, are guilty of treason against such colony. It be recommended to the legislature of the several United Colonies to pass laws for punishing in such a manner as them shall seem fit such persons before described as shall be provable attained of open deed by people of their condition of any of the treasons before described, that it be recommended to the legislature of the several colonies to pass laws for punishing in such a manner as to them shall think fit persons who shall counterfeit or aid or abet in counterfeiting the continental bills of credit, or who shall pass such bills in payment, knowing the same to be counterfeit. Damn, even back then. June 28th, 1776. Number 1, scribe notes. First draft of the Declaration of Independence presented before Congress. July 1, 1776. 1. Resolved that this Congress will resolve itself into a committee of the whole to take into consideration the resolution respecting independency. Number 2, resolved that the declaration be referred to said committee. Here we go, folks. July 4th, 1776. Number 1, that the Committee of the Whole Congress has agreed to a declaration known as the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. I will repeat that. July 4th, 1776. Number 1, that the Committee of the whole Congress has agreed to the declaration known as the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. Number 2, ordered that the declaration be authenticated and printed, and that copies of the declaration be sent to several assemblies, conventions, and committees or councils of safety, and to several commanding officers of the Continental troops, and that it be proclaimed in each of the United States and the head of the Army. July 12th, 1776. Number 1, the committee of appointed to prepare Articles of Confederation brought in draft, which was read. This version has 20 articles. Number 2, the de jure office of the Assistant of Clerk to the Secretary was created. July 17th, 1776. Number 1, the Congress took into consideration the report of the Committee on the Rules and Orders for Government of this House, whereupon resolved that the following rules be observed. Scribe notes. There are 12 rules. I wonder if you can get a hold of those 12 rules. July 18th, 1776. Number 1, the committee appointed to prepare a plan of treaties to be entered into with foreign states or kingdoms brought in a report was read. July 19, 1776. Number 1, resolved that the declaration passed on the 4th be fairly engrossed in parchment with the tile. Here we go. Back to that again. July 19, 1776. Resolved that the declaration passed on the 4th be fairly engrossed in parchment with the title and style, S-T-I-L-E, of the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. My. Crossing a barrier now, are we? Crossing jurisdictions now, are we? Going from the living, the soil, to the represented, are we? Let's move on. And the same when engrossed to be signed by every member of Congress. Does everybody get what just happened there?
Wow. Yeah, they took the living men and women and they converted them.
That's right. So
corporations.
Exactly. Title and style. What is a style, folks? It's exactly what it means. What, do you think these uneducated bar attorneys back then would make silly spelling mistakes? I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Anyway, let's move on to August 6th of 1776. Resolved that for the future, there'd be only one continental treasurer. Ooh, that makes it convenient. August 20th of 1776, number 1, scribe note. The Congress reviews latest draft of the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. It's been reduced to 16 to 17 articles. Number 2, the committee appointed to prepare a device for the Great Seal. Oh, my Lord. Let's roll that again. August 20 of 1776. The committee appointed to prepare a device for a Great Seal for the United States, brought in the same with an explanation thereof. The seal was eventually not agreed to. Everybody heard me, right? Now,
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Penny.
Hey, Eugene, does it say what the seal
Where's Penny
is?
at?
Or,
Relax. Oh my God, where's Penny at? Oh, you have to wait. We have to wait for Penny. We need Penny. Penny. All right, we'll go on until
Eugene,
Yes.
does it actually state what the 13 states or colonies it was that first created the United
we did.
States
We went
of
through
America?
that. Yeah, we went through that in the beginning of this whole process where I explained where all these colonies came from. And in fact, I have this thing with Connecticut. I wish I could figure out how to do this. But I sent it to Penny, and when Penny comes back, we will be able to see this stuff on a screen. But anyway, let me read that again. Okay, because August 20th of 1776. The committee appointed to prepare a device for a Great Seal for the United States, brought in the same with the explanation thereof. The seal was eventually not agreed to. Okay. What that says, quite clearly. Now, if anybody can put up, hold on a second for me. Hang on. You're going to pull up.
What I'm getting out of that is the seal that they're all using as representing the United States and fake.
Okay, hang on a second here. I'm going to put something in here. Hold on a second. Wait a second. No, I have something from the National Archives. I have something from the National Archives that everybody really should see. You just got to get it up here. I don't know where, because Penny's so much better than this, and I am an absolute fail at this. So
she's back now.
I would say, hey Penny, help me, Penny, help me. is there any way you can pull up the seal thing from the archives?
Yeah, I got it. There you go.
Okay. Just pull up. Can you do me a favor and can you share that with them on the design? Or can they pull that up where people go to that? And if everybody goes to that, I'm going to read, or gosh. Okay. I'll give you guys a second to go there and take a look at that for a second.
Yeah, I don't know if Benny, you could send that to me or email it.
Did anybody see that? Has everybody seen this thing?
No, I'm on my phone
okay. Hold
today.
on a second here. I'm going to read it if I can get. La 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 la. And this would be
Rick,
great.
Was it you that said you couldn't pull it up?
Okay. Okay, yeah, if you pull up the National Archives and look up the Great Seal, okay? I'm going to read from the milestone documents. All right, hold on. I'm going to put this in the chat. Here it is in the chat. Copy. Okay, I guess that is. Is that it? There it is. I don't know if that's the same thing Penny put in there, but okay. But okay, I'm going to read from this. The original design of the Great Seal of the United States, 1782. This is from Milestone Documents of the National Archives. Just a few hours after the Declaration of Independence was adopted by the Continental Congress, July 4th of 1776, the first committee to design the seal for the United States was appointed, and its design began. After undergoing numerous changes, on June 20th of 1782, the seal was adopted by the Continental Congress. The seal, the Great Seal of the United States, is the symbol of our sovereignty as a nation. It's used on official documents to authenticate the signature of the president, and it appears on proclamations, warrants, treaties, commissions of high officials of the government. The Great Seal's design, used as our national coat of arms, is also used officially as decoration on our military uniform, buttons, on our plaques, above entrances to U.S. embassies and consulates and other places. Both the observe and the less familiar reverse, which is never used as a seal, are imprinted on a $1 bill. The history of the Great Seal begins with the day of our founding as a nation. the Continental Congress appointed a committee to design a seal for the United States on July 4th of 1776, just a few hours after they had adopted the Declaration of Independence. The committee members, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams. I will remind you, Benjamin Franklin, I live in his town. I live in the town of in the famous kite experiment. Be prepared a very complicated design that was promptly tabled by Congress. However, one prominent feature of the design appeared in the design that was originally adopted. The motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one. Unium, right? In 1780, a second committee, James Lovell of Massachusetts and John Moran Scott and William Churchill Houston of Virginia, developed a second design, but that was also tabled by Congress, like the first design. The second had elements that were later incorporated into the final seal, including the olive branch, the constellation of 13 stars, and the shield with red and white stripes on a blue field. A third committee was appointed in May of 1782. This committee design employed the eagle for the first time in the crest. 1782, it says. The third committee was appointed in May of 1782. This committee employed the eagle for the first time in the crest. I'll repeat that, people. A third committee from the National Archives, a third committee was appointed in May of 1782. This committee employed the eagle for the first time in the crest. Back to my reference to my hometown. In early 1782, Congress referred to the three designs to the Secretary of the Continental Congress, Charles Thomson. Pay close attention, people. Early in 1782, Congress referred the three designs of the Secretary of the Continental Congress, Charles Thomson. Thomson made a fourth design that was revised by William Barton, a Philadelphia student of Hillary. Philadelphia. Hard to escape all this history, especially when you live here. So I don't want to hear anybody telling us our history about who's what and where we live. I want to hear your noise. Thomson submitted a written description of his final version to the Continental Congress that was described and designed and explained its symbolism. Thomson submitted a written description of his final version to the Continental Congress that described the design and explained its symbolism. The Continental Congress approved the design in June 20th of 1782. So let's put some myths to bed. Okay, where were we? Sorry, I lost my spot. Okay. Okay, we are back to August 27th, 1776. Resolved that the plan of treaties with the amendment to be referred to the committee who brought in the original plan in order to draw up instructions pursuant to the amendment made by the committee of the whole. September 7th, 1776, resolved that all letters to and from the Board of War and Ordnance and where secretary shall be the same, secretary of the same will be free of all expense in the post office of the United States, of these United States. September 20th, 1776, 1. Congress resumed the considerations of the Articles of War, which is being debated by the paragraphs we agreed to as follows. Resolved that the form and after the publications of the articles in the respective armies of the United States, the rules and articles by which these said armies have hereto been governed shall be, and they are hereby repealed. Scribes note, thus new articles of war are approved, repealing older versions. Wow, so they actually put in writing they repeal things. I'm going to bring something to people's attention because I'm going to ask if anybody can find where they actually repealed the Articles of Confederation. Because if you repeal the Articles of Confederation, that means you would repeal all of this noise, all of this Declaration of Independence, rah, rah, rah. So, how did you have a constitution if you didn't repeal this stuff? I don't know. September 24th of 1776. Congress resumed the consideration of the instructions of the agent, scribe's note, free ambassador, and the same being debated by paragraphs amended were agreed to, scribe's notes. These were to be eventual offerings of the treaties to foreign countries, etc. October 21st. Man, what the hell? They must have took a big old break. October 21st, 1776. Congress took into consideration the form of the oath to be taken by the officers in the service of the continent, which was agreed to as follows. Oh boy. Oh, something interesting. October... Go ahead.
May I real quick?
Go ahead.
I've been trying to get over here for a little while. It's just, I don't know about repealing the Articles of Confederation, but it's something called the Enabling Acts. where they bring everything that was in place, they bring it forward and make it stronger. I don't know what year that was, but it's the enabling acts.
That's interesting. Enabling acts by whose government, though? I'm saying, like, see, cause they created a completely different government. You know what I'm saying? You went from the Continental Congress to D.C. That's two different governments.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. So it's like, ultimately, it doesn't matter how you did it. The Articles of Confederation basically incorporates you. You're basically saying, hey, we're taking this bunch of stars and slapping them into this star within this field of stripes, and we're throwing them all in the same banner. They're representing two separate jurisdictions.
So maybe it'd be good if it was repealed, huh?
Well, think about it quite clearly. Stars and stripes means exactly what it means. It even spells it out what it means. It says that the stripes represent, allegedly, the 13. Okay, whatever, it still represents the 13. Then, the stars represent 13. So you got to wonder, because if you read through these actual Articles of Confederations, you'll realize that the 13 really isn't plausible to say it is relevant to the colonies, because there wasn't actually 13 colonies if you think about it. There were a whole bunch of counties, right? And we were also talking about that word county, and my illustrious friend Nino always refers to the county as being what? Run by a count? A count is a version of an earl, right? That's a piece of royalty we're talking about here. So sometimes we got to be careful of the words we use, because technically, a county is, say, the shire, or whatever, the soil. So.
Thanks, you.
All righty. So, on that date, resolved, Congress took into consideration the form of the oath to be taken by the officers in service of the continent, which was agreed to as followed. I do acknowledge the 13 United States of America, namely New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, to be free, independent, and sovereign states, and declare that the people thereof owe no allegiance or obedience to George III, King of Great Britain, and I renounce, refuse, and abjure any allegiance or obedience to him, and I do swear that I will, to the utmost of my power, support, maintain, and defend the said United States against the said King, George III, and his heirs and successors, and his and their abettors, assistants, and adherents, and will serve the said United States in the office of which I now hold, in any other office which I may hereafter hold, by their appointment or under their authority, with fidelity and honor, and according to the best of my skill and understanding, so help me God. That's a pretty powerful oath. Number 2, resolved that every officer who holds or shall thereafter hold commission or office for the Congress shall subscribe the above declaration and take the foregoing oath. October 30th, 1776, resolved the rank of officers of the Marines be the same as the officers commissioned on land services. Wow, I never knew that. So, because Marines are on boats. December 12th, 1776, resolved that this Congress be, for the present, adjourned to the town of Baltimore, in the state of Maryland, to meet on the 20th instant, unless a sufficient number to make a Congress shall be there sooner assembled, and that until the Congress shall otherwise order General Washington be possessed of full power to order and direct all things relative to the department and the operations of war, that several matters to this day refer be postponed to the day to which Congress is adjourned. December 30th, 1776. Number 1, resolved that the commissioners be forth sent to the courts of Vienna, Spain, Prussia, and the Grand Duke of Tuscany. Scribe's note, many stipulations were presented. Scribe's note, page 1068 to page 1060, page 1063 to page 1068, volume 6, listing all of the standing committees during 1775 and 1776 and the committee members and their terms of service. Okay, that wraps it up for 1776, folks. Any comments?
I'm just wondering, if we can't just revert to everything back then and put everything back into play like it was originally set up. Because like Nino says, anything that has been done can be undone, right?
Valid. It's just interesting when you look at history and then you look at...
It is, because this is the kind of thing that they don't teach in schools on which they should be teaching. So people understand where we all came from to begin with, how our country was developed. They don't teach none of this shit. They show you a little bit or talk a little bit about George Washington, but that is as far as it goes. Oh, he flew a kite. Okay, well, what else did he do?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Ben Franklin and things about... Yeah, because you think about Ben Franklin, you don't realize that he wrote the Articles of Confederation, him and a couple other people. That's it. So you have to consider this. What was Ben doing? Was he helping us? Or was he...
Absolutely he was.
You think? Think about it. He moved you from the soil to the land and put you on the same flag. Think about it. Think about him writing the Articles of Confederation. And if you write the Articles of Confederation, wasn't he the one that proposed the representation, collective representation, proportional? Remember, all of this is about standing present, or is it about re-present? Why do we win in court? We win in court because we stand present. Okay,
Yep.
we win because of it's the law of nature, law of kinds. You can't contract with us. You're dead, or you represent the dead. So,
well, also don't forget that also Ben Franklin, he spent a lot of time in Europe. I mean, probably more so over there than he did here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about Ben over there too that are not good.
No,
not good.
No, and again, he was a diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
Here that went over there. So, and again, when you start to look, okay, well, he wrote the Articles of Confederation. Well, who the hell was he talking with over in fucking Europe? He was talking with all the aristocrats, all the cronies over there.
What do you need to do? You need to represent, folks. Once you represent, what happens? Taxation without representation. Represent means they get to tax you. That's all it means. People think like you're stealing. No, they're just it's an excuse to take money from you. And I mean, it's as basic as it gets. It's almost like legalized extortion. Yeah, I can extort money from you because I claim authority to extort money.
Yeah.
Go for it.
In April of 1776, point 4 stated that there would no longer be any imports of slaves into the country. But that wasn't officially made a law until 1807. I wonder why. Does anybody have any introspection to that?
How many years is that? 35? 37? No, that's...
About 32.
32, okay. Generation. Interesting. Well, you got to realize, what's Rome's motto? Rome was built by slaves. So, who supported the southern states? Makes me wonder, when we talk about the Civil War, what was the Civil War really about? People talk about, we say money. We think it's money. Really, think about it. And I'm going to make something very, very clear. Why did they call themselves the Confederates? Let's look at the word Confederate. By definition, what does Confederate mean? Con.
I don't know. So they're doing a con, which is a con. They're
con. No. Con means with in Latin.
Okay.
Okay. So constellation with the stars. Confederation with the who?
The stars.
Who? No. Confederation is with the con with the who?
Federation.
Thank you. So, we have a war. Against the British territorial government the British Territorial Army, against the Confederates. Did you ever notice how many stars are on the Confederate flag?
No.
Don't sit there and tell me there's damn 13 states that happen to be Confederates, right? It just conveniently was 13 states that happened to be part of the Confederacy, right? Conveniently. 13 stars in a white stars in a blue backfield, representing a new constellation. And maybe those bars were no longer the Confederation, or no longer the United States, the Confederation with the United States. Because you have to think about what's going on here. The Federation is named what? It's named the United States, isn't it? The style of this Confederation, people. Article 1, Confederation. Article 1, folks. The style, S-T-I-L-E, of this Confederation will be the United States. Go read it from the National Archives. I'm not telling you any stories. I don't tell stories. And if I'm going to tell you a story, I'm going to tell you where to go find it. So I don't tell you stories.
Eugene.
Yes.
I have a question to ask you. I've been told that Confederates had to do something secret or illegal or...
No. It means exactly what it means by definition. Confederates. Words have meaning, people, and a lot of times people don't want to believe that. You're taught this stuff your whole life because it's deliberately meant to confuse you. It's deliberately meant to send you down another rabbit hole. Why do you think they have rabbit holes?
I found out that I had several of my past family members that were Confederate soldiers. On my county, Alamance, North Carolina. Alamance, North Carolina. I've got probably up to 9 or 10 grave sites that my sister has located that they were Confederate soldiers. And my family tree goes back to 1702.
Cool.
That's what she's dug up so far.
That's cool.
And she's still digging to this day to find more information through Bibles and what have you. But
this stuff needs to come out, okay? These things of history needs to come out because what happens is we have so many claims, interpretations, and they're unverified. And I've gotten to the point where, I've gotten called out so much on things that are being said that I have to go verify it.
So the Confederate soldiers are the good guys.
I would imagine. Honestly, I would imagine. Because what had happened, this is what I think went on. I think that I would say my theory would be that the Vatican supported the Confederacy. Now, the Confederacy basically was, you have to think about what was going on at this time in the industrial age or the manufacturing age. Our whole manufacturing, as an agricultural country, we produced a lot of cotton, tobacco, minerals, and other natural products. But the fact of it was that we were exporting and not manufacturing. And New England, which was basically becoming the manufacturing hub of our country. So what we see now is an adjustment in the way the country is moving, because instead of doing all this export, we're moving all of our products north. And with the advent of the railroads, it made things much, much easier for us to actually manufacture and produce our products and even ship our products to Europe. We were now becoming a global force. And I'm pretty sure that the founding fathers were quite aware of all this. They were quite aware of the massive natural resources that were available on this continent. And all they had to do was steal it, which they did. They stole it with what? They divide and conquered. How did they divide and conquer? The Indians, maybe? This whole exercise. Let's remind each other. I drive by Daniel Boone's homestead in Pennsylvania. A lot of these things about history, they don't remember, or they're not taught. Back to things that Sean was saying. These things aren't taught to you, and you just never know. You just think, oh, who's this Daniel Boone guy? Some great explorer into the American West, right? Is that what he was? Great American hero? Or was he perpetrating the violation of the Cumberland Gap?
Perpetrating a fraud.
Violation of a treaty with the Indians, huh? Well, nobody wants to talk about that. Okay? What's more important? Violating the treaty with the Indians so we can export their goods to Europe? Or what? Declaring independence from the corporation of Great Britain to create ourselves into another corporation. Remember, you declared independence to do what? You signed your name. Declaring your independence, huh? And then what? You got this Articles of Confederation. You got this Constitution. Both of which so when we look at these things and we think, wow, this is really real. I'm not just saying this stuff. I'm not telling you stories. Go look it up. Look it up in places where people don't find that stuff. The reason why you don't know about this stuff is because nobody knows about the Articles of Confederation. It's because they've been blowing smoke up your ass about this Constitution since you were, as far as you could walk. When you could stand. Telling you this, that, and the other thing. We don't know nothing about this Constitution. Articles came first. Never repealed. Never. You repeal that shit, that means you repeal the Declaration of Independence. Get it? What don't you figure out? You can't do this crap. So if you repeal that, all of this is history. So in other words, who's bogus? The Articles are bogus or the Constitution's bogus? Which one? Well, as I said, National Archives, go look it up. Contrary to what you were taught all your life, contrary to all the stuff that you were, whatever. Go read it for yourself and make your own determinations. We're only up to 1777. Okay? So there's multiple years of this baloney going on before we even hit the damn Constitution. So all this stuff really should be looked at. So a lot of times we have difficulties believing things that Well, I have difficulties believing things that people tell me too. I'm getting tired of it. So I'm gonna start digging it. I'm going to start rebutting it. And if I'm wrong, then somebody rebut me. Please. Anybody got any questions? Comments?
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Eugene, may I?
Sure.
So when the lady asked Benjamin Franklin, what have you given us? And he says, a republic, if you can keep it. Was he messing with us?
Honestly, you know what's really funny? I think he was. You know, me and Nino bring that question up a lot. Yeah, that's been brought up a lot. I think he was messing with us. If you can keep it. Ha ha. Why? Think about it. This is why this whole essay is entitled The American Experiment. Quite honestly, American Experiment's still going on, folks. We are the American experiment. Okay? We are the American experiment. How did we get here? Who the hell are we? What claims are we making?
Well, Eugene, like it's always said, if you go back, reading the Bible and everything else, we were all put here for a reason. And it comes down to we have to figure out what that reason really was of why we asked to be here for. This could be the moment. This is probably the reason why we asked to come here, to change the way of history, to bring out what people were actually meant to be here for.
You know, it should behoove all of us here not to obstruct the truth.
To bring facts to light.
Exactly. Because you do realize there are many that will take the ignorance of people and take full advantage of them. Absolutely.
And that's what they do in school. They change the history books in schools. They change the curriculum in schools to fit their own agenda rather than teaching the actual history, because I look at it like this here. If they would have actually taught pretty much what you just read and teach that inside the schools, the country wouldn't be where it's at today. It wouldn't be in a chaos or disrupt, or you wouldn't even probably have corporations, to be honest with you, because everybody would have stayed in line to what happened back then. When somebody tries to change something, there's American people at that time turn the fuck like, no, that's not how we're doing this, and put a stop to it. But people just kind of laid back and let these hypocrites start running the country, and look what it came out to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take the majority of us to bring it back. and bring that life back into the schools. And that's by teaching our own children.
Yeah, I just think as long as we don't let things like this be allowed to be spread without rebuttal of facts, and these are facts. And until you guys can rebut this stuff that's been sitting in these archives for hundreds of years, so much of this is pretty, as it is, academic. Back to the stories.
I also heard that if you could get to inside the Benjamin post office, a lot of it's all sitting in there too.
Well, they closed that down. I don't even know how you can get into that. I mean, the actual post office on 9th Street.
I heard they reopened it.
I need to go. I'm going to go down there tomorrow. Then I mean, I'm in Philadelphia every damn day. If I like, what the hell? I mean, I'll go down there. I just haven't been down.
I was talking to Nino about it, about meeting up with him one day, and him and I going down there. There's supposed to be a guard in there.
Yo, man.
So
we want to go on a road trip to Ohio. Hey, Penny. You know why we want to go to Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, what's in Ohio?
Oh, I'll let you know. Boy, oh boy, the things I dig up. So anybody else got comments?
Yeah, this is Daryl. Actually, I do.
Go ahead, Daryl.
All right. So where does this really leave us? Okay, so there is, just trying to get the overview here. Bird's eye view, if it's possible, and all this interesting information, to say the least. Okay, so there's fraud. Is that what's been happening from pretty much the beginning?
Pretty much, yeah.
And it hasn't been rebutted or corrected, but it can be. Where does this leave us now? Like, what are we standing on? What's the bedrock?
The bedrock is jus soli. Your bedrock is jus soli. Jus soli supersedes, their natural right of soil supersedes all other rights. So in other words, anybody who claims right of blood, okay, and I'm going to make this very, very clear. We understand what right of blood means, right? Natives that claim to be like Cherokees, Sioux, Seminoles, Pawnees, all those guys, by blood, you're claiming to be an indigenous. That's different from being a Native American. A Native American is born here. You got it? A Native American is born here. So anybody here that is born here is a Native American by their nativity. If people do not get this, this has nothing to do with being an Indian or an indigenous that claims the right of blood. The right of blood is sanguinis, sanguine, blood. Jus sanguine. Anybody who claims that my blah, 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 blah was on the Mayflower is making a claim of what? Blood. Sanguinis.
Jus sanguinis.
There you go. So, let's make something very, very clear. Jus soli supersedes jus sanguinis. Okay? All there is to it. So, if you were born here, your rights supersede anybody's claim of blood. Everybody get that? There's no royalty here. There's no, hey man, my family was, yeah. Sorry. We don't play that.
Okay, I'd like to ask this question, if I may. So what Anna says about we have sovereignty through like 3 different, I don't know what the word is, like sources of, from kings or whatever it was from the old world, then that how does that fit in here? That's my question.
When you say something from a king, right? Isn't that from a blood title?
Yeah, I mean, it's what.
How do you get to be a king? How does a king get to be king? Right.
So
quite simple.
This is inherent right. This is inherent right to all people of the earth if they claim it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right of God, man. God gave you this right. God put you on this damn earth right here. Okay? And no one's going to tell you otherwise. Nobody's going to tell you because my blood's better than yours. What are you, fucking kidding me?
Because I'm alive, then I have this right.
That's right.
I live.
I live. I was born here. This is my soil. I live on this soil. And those that claim to be persons, I don't care what kind of person, lawful person, legal person, they're in a different jurisdiction. Okay? They're in a different jurisdiction. Plain and simple.
Really, so, Eugene, so then obviously kind of relating it back into, the assembly, then what you're saying is the nationals, everyone's a national, so everyone has Jews solely. But
if you're born here. No. If you're born here.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You've got a naturalized American and you have a Native American.
Okay.
Those naturalizers are those that make the declaration, which is basically your Declaration of Independence, basically. You're declaring on paper publicly, you're making a public declaration of your habeas corpus.
Okay.
That you are living, you're a man, you're not a corporation, you're not a fiction.
Okay, so with that being said, then again, going into the assembly, when you take a position of a coordinator or a chair, that takes you from the jus soli into the jus sanguine, which puts you into the land.
That's not, correct? What you're saying, what you're trying to equate to an assembly has got nothing to, what it has to do with is, it has to do with this style. Okay?
Okay.
What's the Declaration of Independence? Is a style. Didn't you read it? I've read it right to you guys. Even says in the Articles of Confederation on that date, when they ratified the Declaration of Independence, they even said the style. The style. So in other words, they were moving from one jurisdiction to the other. You get it? So they're coming from the what? They were coming from the land, the sea's jurisdiction to the land's jurisdiction. But guess what? Just because you went to land's jurisdiction doesn't mean you ain't still a person. Ha ha. Listen, if I'm going to sell you a bag of donuts, I'm not going to sell you a bag of soggy donuts now, am I?
No.
Okay. Listen, all I'm saying is, look at what you got in front of you. So.
Well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like, so when we sit here and read these actual articles, this is why we should just sit here and read them and make our own, come to our own conclusions. These are learned men. These are educated men that wrote this. These aren't clowns. Okay? These are well-spoken, well-written, well-educated men. They wouldn't be making spelling mistakes on documents like the Declaration of Independence. They wouldn't be making spelling mistakes on the Articles of Confederation.
No, they wouldn't.
So, you know what must have sucked? Could you imagine back in the day having to write this on a piece of parchment and then making a mistake? And I mean, you're talking about a 500-word document, right? If you have a 500-word document, it's not like you got white out. You know, you're screwed, man. So, yeah.
Well, again, that's why when you see these documents, they're all, you know, if they make a mistake, they cross it out. Like, nothing you can do about it.
Well, most of the ones, if you go actually read the, like, Articles of Confederation, I don't see one mistake in there. So. I mean, I'm sure that does happen, but, you know. Yeah. I just can imagine, man, that would just suck. Could you imagine me, the guy writing this thing, and just be like, oh, no. 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 I didn't just do that. No. So, yeah. But, so does anybody find any of this stuff to be all a bit intriguing?
I find it very intriguing.
That seal thing. What you got there?
Everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this just blows my mind. So I'm kind of curious. So I get this part of, you know, that's really cool. Naturalized, to become naturalized is you're making your own Declaration of Independence. And then you said habeas corpus, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Can you explain?
Habeas corpus is basically saying you have the body. I have the corpse. So I'm not a fiction. Sister KV makes you a corpse. You're a corpse. That all caps person is a corpse. You're not living. Okay? So what you think is not living, you're still not living when you're on the land. You know that. And people sit there and say, oh, the land and soil. No. The land is not living. The soil is.
Yep.
Okay? Listen, I'm going to say this very clearly, everybody who's familiar with me in the court processes. Now, if you're familiar with me in the court process, you will know we beat up on judges because they do what? What do they do?
They represent themselves in two jurisdictions. In
Wow.
the UCC and the UCMJ.
So that means they represent themselves in two jurisdictions. Does that mean we're allowed to do that shit?
No.
Just checking. Just checking. If you can beat the judge up, and this is the guy who's going to put you in jail, folks. This is the guy that locks your ass up. So, think about it. If they ain't allowed to do it, and these punks are for real. These guys are actually pretty legit, if you want to go by the definition of legit.
Yeah.
All right? They actually got the guns and badges. So you damn well better be able to call them the hell out. Well, if you're calling these people out, you're not doing that shit yourself. So, when somebody says, hey, I'm this and that, how is that possible?
Who are you representing? You're representing Jus Soli, or are you representing Jus Sanguinis?
Exactly. Because sanguinis comes from what?
Right of blood.
Mm-hmm. Make any, like, it's just like the Cherokees, man. How you get to be a Cherokee? Your mom and dad got to be Cherokees? Huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
yes,
that makes that makes a blood issue, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
How's that a native issue? How are you a Native American that way? If your mom and dad were Cherokees. Well, it's the truth.
And the truth hurts sometimes.
Well, it's not that it hurts, but it needs to be pointed out, and it needs to be addressed where these things that people believe should be more, I guess, addressed. I mean, these things that we think are real or that we think that should be given credence. All the stuff that we believe. We believe this stuff about Native Indians, about native tribes and all this sort of crap, but you don't even know that you're a native. And you have the exact same damn rights as the natives. What the hell? You know, back in the 1700s, okay, back in all this time, the Indians ran around the damn streets naked. Guess what? Okay? Naked. Boobs flying. Whatever. Breastfeeding babies on the street. These savages. Oh my God. Look at this, you savages. Running around naked. How dare these people? What the hell? Decent society around here. But why could they do that? Because they have a right above yours. They have the right to tell you to go fuck off. Tell me to put some clothes on. Tell me I can't breastfeed my child on the street. Oh, tell me I can't piss on the bush. So, remember, somebody has that right. You have that exact same right. And we should remember that we have that exact same right. And we should remember that no one is allowed to make us dead. No one is allowed to say, hey, I'm going to have you be represented for the whole. Okay? Because that's not what America is supposed to be. America isn't represented by the whole. America is represented by each and every one of us.
Every individual.
No, not individual. As Nina was pointing out, individuals end in the word dual. What are we a dual of?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, no duels, people.
No duels.
We are singular.
Yeah, I was starting to catch myself on that. You kind of jumped in quick.
Sometimes we got to know what we're saying about each other, what we're saying about ourselves. You know? Oh gosh, people. You know, I've like after reading all this stuff, it becomes really quite. I don't know what to say about this, but I do see where things need to be addressed from the historical standpoint.
I agree with that.
I do believe that everyone demands a transparency and a credibility to things.
Eugene, may I?
Go for it.
Okay, so in that article that Anna wrote about the Solicitor General's notice that the protections for the administrative judges and bar attorneys is going to be, the protections are going to be removed. If we do find ourselves in a situation, knowing this kind of information right here, that's the approach that we would have toward them, is it not? I yield.
What do you mean by information? I'm missing you.
Well, they don't have the protections anymore from the Solicitor General or whoever
protects the de facto when they violate our God-given rights and our authority.
But here's the thing. We don't even care about that anymore because it's more like now we're just going after you for copyright infringement and just billing you. Just like, look, any moron that signs their name to it is getting toast. So you're getting billed and you're getting leaned. Bye.
So
I don't know
that's
what else
it
to
then.
say. You listen.
So the public use of fruct derivative notices that we've been learning are that process. That's the correct process to give to them when they try to lean on us. Yeah.
Well, no, no. You have to understand what's going on with the use of fruct process, Chris. Okay. The use of fruct process has a couple of things going on here. It's not just the process of your 928 stuff. Use of fruct process has to do with, first of all, you are a foreign sovereign, okay? Any court or court official would be either brain dead or stupid to think about entering into contract with you. Who, in their right state of mind, is going to enter into a contract with a foreign sovereign who has a $10 million fee schedule that you served to him? And you have claimed to him that this is not dischargeable in a bankruptcy, so you're toast until next Tuesday, or even a month of Tuesdays. You're in trouble. So, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm just saying that with the removal of the protections that they have, it just makes this process that much stronger to them. And that's what I was getting from Anna's article. As she was explaining, she's been waiting 50 years for this. So it seems kind of like a victory that just propels us that much further ahead. I yield.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it this way. I mean, you just want to you just want to open up the opportunity to create contract. That's all. Since these guys will not enter into contract with us, and that's why this whole process is the way it is, because we have to get them to enter into contract with us. Like, people don't get it. When they figure out you're a foreign sovereign, they're going to be like, no. No. So the only way you're going to get them into contract with you is to sucker them into contract. I'm telling you. Once they figure out you're a foreign sovereign, they want no parts of you, man. Just like Nino said. Nino's not even allowed in the damn district attorney's office. They know who you are. Okay, what? You think they're going to let you come in there and sucker them into a contract? Hell no. They know exactly what's going on. They're not stupid. Okay? Even Jennifer, who was supposed to show up in court, says, oh, well, you got to show up in court. She says, you going to pay me? Because I don't show up unless you pay me. Boy, that shut them up in a hurry.
That's in your fee schedule, people.
Yeah. You paying me? Sure, I'll show up. You pay me. I'll send you a bill. End the story, guys. Not paying me, I'm not showing up. Here you go. I return service to you. The minute you return service, that's your appearance in court. Finish. Finito. Bye. Bring me another claim. Bring me another claim.
And again, just so everyone kind of remembers, as Eugene said earlier, only like kind can do business. So if we're living, again, corporations cannot do business with us because we are living. We're not corporations anymore.
So the style of this confederacy, so we can do business, right? Style of our confederacy. S-T-I-L-E, style. Cross a barrier. Jurisdiction barrier, maybe, folks? Painful, isn't it? But it is what it is. I know there's a lot of, I guess, a shock, because I'm in a bit of shock. Honestly.
The British East India Trading Company had, at the time, and so it, I don't know, maybe like heat to cold kind of thing. Doing business with it, so it kind of acclimated more.
Hey, Chris.
To its style.
Hey, Chris, that's really broken up, buddy. That's really broken up. Try it again.
I'm in a bad zone. So
Yeah, you're in a bad spot, buddy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Not really, buddy.
Yield.
All right. We'll try it again next time. But yeah, back to this whole shock thing, man. I don't know what to say about it. Is that we're all grown adults and we're all sitting here discussing things that are relevant to our life.
Well, it's all fraud. Just fraud. And we know it's fraud, and it is a little mind-blowing, staggering to comprehend that, and that's just people like us. Imagine talking the stuff that we know, which we all try to do at times. I know I do. People look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I just wanted to say the day was going great. Okay. Like, people don't want to know. People are oblivious.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back, Nino.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I had to jump off.
It's all good.
All right, Nino.
We're dropping some bombs on the Articles of Confederation, man.
Oh, yeah, I started hearing all the resolutions.
Yeah, they were dropping some bombs on there. Talking about the seal and things.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know that regardless of where the seal came from or whoever created it, doesn't matter if it was blood related or not.
Yeah, that's where it's spelled out. So, if there's any validity to any of it, it'd have to be, some of that has to be addressed with the Mr. Thompson. And I should go look up Mr. Thompson's grave and see where he is, where his sleeping place would be. Good place to dig up stuff, people. Where they sleep, where their graves are. So if you ever want to look up somebody who's somewhat, I don't know, you'll find out things that you would never find out. So.
Yeah, I actually seen a video of it. Somebody actually was videoing. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but Billy the Kid and his 3 buddies or 4 buddies that he was with, they were literally filming his gravesite. And it's like completely fenced off to where their actual thing is. People just throwing money, coins in there. There's a couple other grave sites on the land itself, but where his is and the 3 buddies that was with him, it's like in a fenced-in area.
Yeah, interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. So I don't know. Should we ever talk about
even if they rebuild anything, they still would have to remove that grave to a different location and then have to still put it up there on where they put them at. They just can't dig up a grave to build a building and just throw the body out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
No,
still
technically it
gotta get the
becomes
proper care.
hallowed ground. Once you bury somebody there, it becomes hallowed ground. So they can actually claim some kind of exemption.
Well, yeah. So if one of your family members would die, and you bury them on your property, yes, that they no longer can tax that property because there's a body buried there.
Yeah.
I learned that a while ago.
That's a bit strange, though. I wonder what the actual provenance, like, what's the gist of that law? That's really interesting. Like, how come? Well, what's the rationale behind you not being able to tax that property because of the?
Because you'll never be able to sell that property off. That property can only be exchanged from family member to family member. So, and this is how I found out about it. I probably was about 13, maybe 14 years old. My dad used to work for a funeral home. And when he ended up passing away, and one of his wills was to be buried in the backyard on his property. And that's where they buried him. They buried him on that property. And once they showed the certificate in the burial plot that that's where he is laid out at, the courts removed everything from the court system. They can no longer tax that property, and they no longer can sell that property unless they take that burial up and plant him somewhere else. So that property is remained under the family, and if the rest of the family dies, the house will just crumble because they can never sell that property again.
That's interesting. That is some interesting stuff. I did not know. I mean, yeah, I know I had a friend in New York who had, I think she had buried her family's ashes in the ground. And then once she buried the ashes in the ground, then it became a hallowed ground, and they could no longer tax real estate taxes. And this was in Brooklyn. So I thought, oh, that's pretty kind of crazy in the middle of Brooklyn to bury your ashes in the backyard and then claim the exemption.
Well, yeah, back in the 80s, I guess that's what people were doing. But, I mean, the more in the future that was coming along, they kind of try to put a stop to it because people found out how to get away with doing certain things. Like, we're all learning on how we can stand up on our rights, right? Well, that's what they were doing to claim their property. Well, we'll just bury our family member here, and mortgage companies can no longer touch the property, no nothing. It'll
That's
just sit abandoned.
Stuff, man. That is crazy stuff.
It makes you wonder when you're out there Googling and looking, deep diving in certain things on the internet and that there, you find these abandoned mansions and things like that there that mortgage companies can't touch. It makes you wonder, could there be a relative or something buried on that property, the reason why they just left it go?
Wow. There you go. That's very cool. Thanks, Sean. Thank you. Cool. Good stuff, people. Good stuff. So tomorrow, I guess we're going to show, hey, Penny, what's the deal for tomorrow? 11, or what are we doing now? 11?
Yeah, 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock your time.
Okay, 11 o'clock. So, all right, we're going to do 11 tomorrow. I guess we're going to try to make this at 10, or Penny, because it's easier for Penny. And since Penny is the hostess with the mostest, Penny gets the, Penny rules.
And I'll record it, so.
Yeah, well, I think we got a late record on that one today.
Subject came up, maybe in my Arkansas private group text, that they would really love that when we start having conversations, when people start asking you questions about their personal cases, that if we could maybe just ask that whoever's asking you a question, don't say anything that's private, but go ahead and discuss their questions so we can record it and others can hear, because they missed out that day we didn't record, and they were like really sad because, you know, we want everybody to take, I mean, that was the whole reason we started this, right, Eugene?
Yeah, I
said,
you.
Oh my gosh, we got to record this stuff. Remember?
Yeah, I got you.
Why we're here. So, if we get into the whole questions about cases, if we could, again, whoever's asking the question, just don't share the parts of your case that you don't want the world to know.
Gotcha. Well, most of the times you're right there too, and because most of the times when you're talking about what we're talking about, I don't care what you did. It doesn't matter.
Right.
None of this matters. So yeah. So yes, we don't have to entertain any of that stuff. And yes, it kind of tends to spin our wheels. And you know, Ben, you're absolutely correct. So we will leave it at that. Awesome.
All right.
So anything else? All good. So tomorrow we're going to continue on with, I guess, 1777 and our little journey through the Articles of Confederation, our actual first Constitution, or whatever you want to call that thing. But that thing that's never, ever been repealed, folks. So anybody that sits there and says, I stand under the Declaration of Independence, well, guess what else you stand under, folks? Okay? And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because you can say, hey, go read it for yourself. Okay? I'm not telling you stories. Go read it for yourself. Figure out where it is. Start digging. You want to find somebody. I'm going to tell you again, people, go find their dead body. Okay? They're buried someplace. Go find them. These people are history. If they are history, if they're part of history, then they got themselves a nice little gravestone. They got themselves a nice little epitaph. They got themselves a nice little backstory. Go find it. All right, folks.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
All right.